The night sky over Ridgeview was impossibly clear, the stars sparkling like thousands of distant beacons in the dark. The small town, tucked away between rolling hills and dense forests, was the kind of place where nothing much ever happened. It had been that way for as long as Josh Walker could remember. The predictable rhythm of life in Ridgeview was something he had grown used to, even if it often left him restless. Josh lay on the roof of his house, a favorite spot of his since childhood. From up there, he could see the whole town stretched out beneath him, the darkened windows of neighbors' homes, the occasional flicker of a TV screen, and the glow of streetlights lining the empty roads. In the distance, the thick silhouette of the forest loomed, the treetops swaying gently in the night breeze. It was a peaceful place, sure, but there were nights like this when peace wasn't what Josh wanted. He was a high school senior, and the future seemed like a void, a question mark that hung over everything. Everyone around him seemed to have a plan, whether it was college, work, or some grand life goal, but Josh couldn't shake the feeling that he was just drifting. The future was coming for him, but he had no idea what to do about it. He let out a sigh and checked his phone. No new messages. He wasn't surprised. He and his friends had drifted apart in recent months, and he didn't have a girlfriend. Not that he wasn't interested in anyone, he was, but the girls at Ridgeview Heights seemed to look through him, like he was invisible. Josh tossed the phone aside and lay back, staring up at the stars. Maybe it was stupid, but sometimes he found himself wishing that something, anything, would happen. Anything to break the monotony, to shake up the dull routine that had become his life. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, but whatever it was, it felt like it was out there, just beyond his reach. That's when it happened. At first, it was just a flicker of light on the horizon, something so faint Josh wasn't sure he had really seen it. He sat up, squinting into the distance, trying to focus. Then, without warning, a blinding streak of light tore across the sky, so bright it made the stars look dim by comparison. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, more intense than a shooting star, larger, and moving impossibly fast. The object glowed with a strange combination of colors, fiery oranges and purples that twisted and swirled together as it arced through the sky. Josh's heart leaped into his throat as he watched it streak towards the earth, disappearing behind the trees in the distance. Seconds later, the ground beneath him shook with a low, rumbling tremor. The vibration was faint, but unmistakable. What the hell? Josh muttered under his breath, his pulse quickening. He scrambled off the roof, barely taking the time to grab his jacket as he rushed through the house and out the front door. The cool night air hit him, but he hardly noticed. His mind was racing. Something had crashed, something from the sky, and it wasn't far. Maybe a mile or two into the woods. He hesitated for only a moment, glancing back toward his house. His parents were asleep inside, oblivious to what had just happened. Should he wake them? Call someone? No. He needed to see it for himself. Something about the situation felt personal, though he couldn't explain why. His curiosity was too strong, the pull too intense. He started running, his feet pounding against the pavement as he made his way toward the edge of town. The woods loomed ahead, dark and foreboding, but Josh didn't slow down. He knew these woods well, he'd grown up playing in them, exploring their winding paths and hidden clearings. He could navigate them easily, even in the dark. As he reached the tree line, he paused for a moment to catch his breath, his mind still racing. What had he seen? A meteor? A satellite crashing back to Earth? Something else? The memory of that strange light, the way it had glowed and twisted through the sky, sent a shiver down his spine. It didn't feel like anything he had ever seen before, and the intensity of the light had been almost alive. He shook off the thought and plunged into the woods, following the faint trail that led deeper into the forest. The trees closed in around him, their branches casting long, eerie shadows in the moonlight. The air was cool and damp, and the only sounds were the crunch of leaves beneath his feet and the occasional rustle of animals in the underbrush. It didn't take long before he saw it, a soft, glowing light ahead, just beyond the next rise. His heart pounded in his chest as he slowed his pace, approaching cautiously. Whatever had crashed, it was just up ahead. When he reached the top of the rise, the sight before him took his breath away. A large crater had formed in the earth, the surrounding trees singed and smoldering from the impact. The center of the crater glowed with an unnatural light, a soft but radiant blue that pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Smoke rose from the edges, curling into the night air and giving the whole scene an eerie, otherworldly feel. Josh's mind raced as he slowly approached the edge of the crater. He had never seen anything like this. The object at the center wasn't a meteor, nor was it any kind of space debris he could recognize. It was smooth, almost metallic, but it didn't reflect light the way metal normally did. Instead, it seemed to absorb the light around it, giving off that strange blue glow. As he stepped closer, the hair on the back of his neck stood up. He had the distinct feeling that he wasn't alone. Then he saw her. Standing at the far edge of the crater, half obscured by the smoke, was a figure. At first, Josh thought it was just a trick of the light, maybe the smoke playing tricks on his eyes. But no. As the smoke cleared, the figure became more distinct. It was a girl, no older than he was, but there was something undeniably different about her. Her skin shimmered with a faint, bluish glow, and her hair, long and flowing, seemed to move in the air even though there was no wind. Her eyes, glowing with the same soft blue light as the object, locked onto his, and Josh felt a strange sensation ripple through him. It was like his body had gone numb, every nerve frozen, yet alive with electricity. The girl took a step forward, her movements smooth and graceful, almost as if she were floating. Josh couldn't speak. His brain struggled to comprehend what he was seeing. She was beautiful, in a way that defied explanation. Her features were delicate but strong, her expression both calm and curious, and there was an undeniable sense of power radiating from her. "Josh," she said, her voice soft and melodic, yet clear in the stillness of the night. Josh's heart skipped a beat. How did she know his name? He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He couldn't move, couldn't think. All he could do was stare, his mind racing in 1,000 different directions. Was this real? Was he dreaming? The girl, no, the alien, took another step closer, her glowing eyes never leaving his. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice like a whisper carried on the wind. Finally, Josh found his voice, though it was barely more than a hoarse whisper. Who are you?" The girl smiled, a soft, knowing smile that made Josh's heart race even faster. "I'm Zayla," she said, her name rolling off her tongue with an otherworldly elegance. "And you, Josh Walker, are very important." Josh blinked, trying to make sense of her words. "Important? Me? How do you know my name?" Zayla's smile deepened, her eyes shimmering with a light that seemed to draw him in. "I know many things, Josh. I've been watching your world for some time. I've come to learn about humans, about you." The weight of her words pressed down on him, but it wasn't fear he felt. It was something else, something far more intense. His heart pounded in his chest, and his skin tingled with the sensation of her presence. There was an energy in the air, something powerful and magnetic, and it seemed to be pulling him toward her. "What do you mean, you've been watching?" Josh asked, his voice shaking. Zayla stepped closer again, and now she was only a few feet away. Her glowing eyes held his, and Josh felt his breath catch in his throat. She was impossibly beautiful, but there was something deeper in her gaze, something that made him feel like she could see straight through him. "I came here for you," she said softly, her voice carrying an almost hypnotic quality. "You're different, Josh. There's something inside you, something special." Josh's mind reeled. This couldn't be happening. Aliens weren't real, this was the kind of thing you saw in movies, not in real life. But everything about Zayla, from the glow of her skin to the strange, electric pull he felt in her presence, was undeniably real. He swallowed hard, trying to gather his thoughts. "Why me?" he asked, his voice barely audible. Zayla's expression softened, and she took another step forward, her hand reaching out toward him. Her fingers were long and delicate, glowing faintly in the night air. "Because, Josh, there's more to you than you know." and I'm here to help you find it. Josh's breath caught in his throat as she touched his arm, a soft, cool sensation that sent shivers down his spine. Her touch was gentle but powerful, and the moment her fingers brushed his skin, he felt a surge of energy rush through him, a warmth that spread from his arm to his chest, making his heart race even faster. "Come with me," Zayla whispered, her voice like a melody in his ears. "I can show you things you've never imagined. I can take you beyond this world, beyond your understanding of reality." Josh's mind spun, torn between the impossible allure of her offer and the sheer terror of the unknown. He had wished for something to happen, for a change, for excitement. But this was beyond anything he had ever imagined. "I don't know," he said, his voice trembling. This is crazy." Zayla smiled, a soft, almost sad smile. "Sometimes, the things that seem the most impossible are the things that are most real," she said. "You don't have to decide now. But remember, Josh, I'll be watching." Before he could say anything else, Zayla began to fade, her body shimmering like smoke in the moonlight. In a matter of seconds, she was gone, leaving Josh standing alone in the clearing, the glow of the crater slowly fading. He stood there for what felt like hours, his heart still pounding in his chest, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. Had it been real? Was any of it real? He didn't know. But one thing was certain, his life would never be the same. As he turned to head back home, he glanced up at the sky, half expecting to see another flash of light. The stars above twinkled softly, as if mocking him. Whatever had just happened, it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale light over the clearing as Josh stumbled back through the woods, his mind racing with the events that had just transpired. Every step felt heavy, as if he were dragging the weight of the universe behind him. He could still feel the lingering touch of Zayla's cool fingers on his skin, the strange warmth that had surged through him at her contact. It was a feeling unlike anything he had ever experienced, a mixture of exhilaration and fear that left him breathless. When he finally reached the edge of the forest, the familiar sights of Ridgeview greeted him, the sleepy houses, the empty streets, the quiet night. But everything felt different now, as if he were seeing the world through a new lens. His heart raced, and he glanced around, half expecting to see Zayla materialize from the shadows. What had just happened? Was it all real, or had he simply lost his mind? As he entered his house, he moved quietly, careful not to wake his parents. The familiar creaks of the floorboards felt like a reminder of how ordinary his life was, how safe and predictable. Yet, the extraordinary encounter with Zayla hung heavily in the air, filling his thoughts with a sense of wonder and uncertainty. He climbed the stairs to his room, his heart still pounding. Flopping onto his bed, he stared at the ceiling, replaying every detail of the encounter in his mind. Zayla's glowing skin, her mesmerizing eyes, the way she had said his name as if they were long-lost friends. He couldn't shake the feeling that she had come to him for a reason, that he was somehow significant in her world. But why? And what did it all mean? As the hours passed, sleep eluded him. Instead, he lay awake, imagining the alien girl he had encountered in the woods, wondering about her home planet, her purpose, and what kind of being she truly was. His mind raced with possibilities, each more fantastical than the last. He felt a strange kinship with her, as if she understood him in a way that no one else did. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. The next morning, the sunlight streamed through his window, illuminating his room in warm, golden light. It was a stark contrast to the emotions churning within him. He rolled over, burying his face in his pillow, trying to escape the reality of the day ahead. The world felt so mundane compared to what he had experienced. Eventually, he pulled himself out of bed, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. The routine of breakfast, school, and the usual interactions with classmates felt hollow. Even as he sat at the table with his parents, discussing plans for the weekend, his mind wandered back to Zayla. Did she really mean what she had said? Was she out there, watching him, waiting for him to make a decision? School dragged on, each class blending into the next. Josh found it increasingly difficult to focus on lectures or assignments. Instead, he caught himself daydreaming about the encounter, replaying Zayla's words in his head like a favorite song. The way she had looked at him, the spark of connection, they were intoxicating thoughts. Lunchtime came, and Josh sat alone at a table, absent-mindedly pushing his food around on his plate. His friends, once a source of comfort, felt distant, their conversations falling flat against the backdrop of his mind. He could see them laughing and joking, but it all seemed so trivial compared to the reality he had encountered with Zayla. Earth to Josh, came a familiar voice, breaking through his reverie. It was Ethan, his best friend, nudging him playfully. "You've been staring at your food for 10 minutes. Are you plotting world domination or something?" Josh forced a smile, shaking his head. "Just thinking." "About what?" "Aliens?" Ethan joked, plopping down in the seat across from him. The other guys joined in, laughter erupting at the mere mention. "Come on, man, you're not still into that sci-fi stuff, are you?" Josh shrugged, trying to play it off. "Nah, just, life." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Life? Dude, we're 17. Life is what's for lunch and what game we're playing after school. You're overthinking things again." The words stung more than Josh cared to admit. It was true, he had been overthinking everything. But how could he explain to Ethan that he had encountered something extraordinary? Something that had upended his understanding of reality? "Maybe you need a little excitement in your life," Ethan continued, oblivious to Josh's turmoil. "Why don't you come to the game with us on Friday? Just chill and have fun." Josh forced a smile. "Yeah, maybe." As the day wore on, Josh felt increasingly restless. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being pulled in two different directions. The life he had always known was still waiting for him, but a part of him yearned for something more, something beyond the confines of Ridgeview. Finally, the school day ended, and Josh headed home. The encounter with Zayla lingered in his mind, a haunting presence that refused to fade. As soon as he was inside his house, he grabbed his jacket and made his way back to the woods, compelled by an urgency he couldn't ignore. The path through the trees felt familiar, yet different this time. Each step resonated with a sense of anticipation, as if the forest itself was aware of his purpose. He reached the clearing and stood at the edge of the crater, the remnants of Zayla's arrival still visible in the scorched earth and glowing residue. It felt almost sacred, like a place where reality and the extraordinary had collided. He crouched down, running his fingers over the cool surface of the ground. "Zayla," he called out, his voice echoing in the stillness. "Are you here?" Silence enveloped him, the only sound the whisper of the wind through the trees. Doubt began to creep in. Had it all been a dream? A figment of his imagination fueled by boredom and desire? Just as he was about to turn away, he felt it, a tingle in the air, a shift in the atmosphere. "Josh," came a voice, soft yet powerful. He whipped around to see her standing there, emerging from the shadows like a vision. Zayla's presence filled the clearing, her glowing skin illuminating the darkness. She was as breathtaking as he remembered, the light shimmering around her like a halo. "Zayla," he breathed, his heart racing. "You came back." "I always return," she said, stepping closer. "You have questions. I can see it in your eyes." Josh nodded, trying to find his voice amidst the whirlwind of emotions. "What are you? Where do you come from? Why are you here?" Zayla smiled, and in that moment, the air felt charged with energy. "I am from a planet far beyond your own, a place where life thrives in ways you cannot comprehend. We are beings of energy, of thought, and we exist beyond the constraints of your physical reality." He took a step closer, drawn to her. "But why me? What do you want from me?" She tilted her head, studying him with those luminous eyes. "I want to help you understand your potential. You feel it, don't you? The yearning for something more, the desire for connection and discovery. Many humans suppress those feelings, but you," she paused, her gaze intensifying, "you are different." Josh's pulse quickened. "Different how?" "Your heart is open, your mind curious. You possess a unique energy, a spark that draws me to you." I can show you the beauty of your existence, the power of your emotions, if you're willing to embrace it. Embrace it how? Josh asked, skepticism lacing his words. What does that even mean? Zayla stepped even closer, her presence enveloping him like a warm blanket. It means allowing yourself to feel, to explore the depths of your desires and fears. To connect with the universe around you. I can guide you, but the choice must come from you. Josh's mind raced with possibilities. He had spent so long feeling trapped in his mundane existence, yearning for something different, and here was Zayla, offering him a glimpse into a world beyond his imagination. But it was terrifying, too. What if he lost himself in that world? What if he couldn't return? What happens if I say yes? He asked, his voice steadied despite the turmoil inside. Zayla's smile broadened, revealing an earnestness that took his breath away. Then you will experience life in ways you never thought possible. You'll discover the beauty of desire, the intricacies of connection, and the vastness of the universe. But know this, it will change you. You cannot go back to the way things were. Josh swallowed hard, grappling with the weight of her words. What if I can't handle it? What if I can't let go? Fear is a powerful force, she replied, her voice softening. But you have the strength to rise above it. Together, we can explore the edges of your reality, push the boundaries of what you think is possible. All you have to do is trust me. He stared into her glowing eyes, feeling the gravity of the moment. The choice lay before him, shimmering like the stars overhead. Part of him was terrified of losing everything he knew, terrified of the unknown. But another part of him, the part that had been yearning for change, for excitement, was ready to take a leap. What do I have to do? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Zayla stepped even closer, their bodies almost touching now, the energy between them palpable. Open your heart, Josh. Let go of your fears. Embrace the desire within you, and I will show you the way. In that moment, something shifted. The air crackled with electricity, and Josh felt a rush of warmth spread through him. He reached out, taking her hand, and the instant their skin touched, a flood of sensations coursed through him. Colors danced before his eyes, and he felt as if he were being pulled into a world beyond his own, a realm filled with possibilities. Together, they stood at the edge of the universe, ready to explore the unknown. Josh knew in that moment that he had made a choice, one that would change the course of his life forever. And with Zayla by his side, he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. As Josh stood there, hand in hand with Zayla, the world around them began to shimmer and dissolve. It was as if the very fabric of reality was peeling away to reveal something more vibrant, more alive. Colors burst forth, swirling around them like the auroras he had only seen in pictures, vivid and pulsating with energy. Welcome to my world, Zayla said, her voice a melodious whisper that seemed to resonate through the very essence of his being. The scene transformed rapidly, and Josh found himself standing on a platform suspended in a kaleidoscope of colors. The ground beneath him felt solid yet strangely fluid, as if it were made of light itself. In the distance, he could see towering crystalline structures, gleaming with iridescent hues, reaching toward a swirling sky of gold and violet. What is this place? He gasped, awestruck by the breathtaking beauty surrounding him. This is my home, Eloria, Zayla replied, her eyes sparkling with pride. A dimension beyond your understanding, where energy and emotion coexist harmoniously. Here, everything is connected. The colors you see represent feelings, thoughts, and desires of every being that exists within this realm. Josh's heart raced with excitement and trepidation. He had stepped into a world that defied logic, a place that existed outside the boundaries of his imagination. The beauty was intoxicating, but it also filled him with an overwhelming sense of vulnerability. Could he truly belong here? Zayla sensed his hesitation and smiled gently. Do not be afraid, Josh. This place reflects your own potential. You are capable of feeling and experiencing more than you ever thought possible. Embrace it. With her encouragement, he took a step forward, letting go of her hand. As he moved, the colors around him swirled and pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Each step sent ripples through the energy beneath him, and Josh felt alive in a way he had never experienced before. "Follow me," Zayla said, beckoning him to join her as she floated gracefully through the vibrant landscape. Josh followed, captivated by the way her form shimmered against the kaleidoscope backdrop. It was as if she were a part of the very essence of this place, embodying its beauty and wonder. As they walked, Josh noticed beings similar to Zayla, ethereal figures composed of light and color, each radiating a unique energy. They danced and glided through the air, communicating in harmonious melodies that resonated like music. There were no words, only pure expression, and Josh felt a stirring in his chest, a longing to connect with them. "Can I communicate with them?" he asked, glancing at Zayla. "You can, but it will require you to open your heart fully," she replied, her voice encouraging. "You must let go of the limitations of your human experience. Here, you can express yourself without fear." Josh hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to let go of the barriers that had been built over years of doubt and insecurity. But with Zayla by his side, her presence a calming force, he took a deep breath and focused on the beings around him. He closed his eyes, allowing the colors and sounds to wash over him, filling him with warmth. Images of his life flashed before him, moments of joy, pain, longing, and triumph. With each recollection, he felt his heart expand, the walls around it crumbling as he embraced the emotions he had always hidden. As he opened his eyes, he felt different. The vibrant beings around him shimmered with excitement, and their colors brightened as they sensed his transformation. With newfound confidence, he reached out to one of them, a swirling figure of blues and greens. To his amazement, the moment their energies connected, he felt an overwhelming rush of emotion, a tapestry of joy, sadness, love, and freedom. It was as if he had tapped into the very essence of the universe, a kaleidoscope of feelings that transcended words. The being responded with a burst of color, enveloping him in warmth. Josh laughed, the sound bubbling up from deep within him. It was pure joy, untainted by the fears and doubts that had plagued him for so long. "See?" Zayla said, her eyes glowing with pride. "You are beginning to understand. Emotion is a bridge that connects us all. Here, you can express yourself without fear of judgment." Josh felt exhilarated, a sense of liberation washing over him. "This is incredible," he said, turning to Zayla. "I can't believe I can feel all of this." "Embrace it, Josh. Allow yourself to explore your desires," she urged, her voice a soft caress. "Let the energy guide you." With Zayla's encouragement, he continued to connect with the beings around him, each encounter revealing a different facet of himself. Laughter mingled with tears as he danced through the colorful landscape, feeling lighter and freer than he ever had. Each connection filled him with energy, and he began to see the world through a new lens, one where emotion was a vibrant, living force. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues across the landscape, Zayla pulled him aside, her expression more serious. "Josh, you must understand that this power comes with responsibility. Emotions are beautiful, but they can also be destructive if not harnessed properly." "What do you mean?" he asked, sensing the weight in her words. "In this realm, desires can manifest into reality," she explained. "But if you allow fear or negativity to take hold, it can lead to chaos. You must learn to navigate your emotions wisely." Josh nodded, the gravity of her words sinking in. "I understand." "Good," Zayla said, her expression softening. "But remember, desire isn't just about seeking pleasure. It's about understanding your true self, what you want, what you need. It's a journey of discovery." They stood together in silence for a moment, the vibrant colors swirling around them like a living tapestry. Josh felt a sense of calm wash over him, grateful for the guidance Zayla was providing. He had entered this world seeking excitement and connection, but now he realized that this was about so much more. It was about discovering who he truly was. "Let's explore further," Zayla suggested, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "I want to show you something special." She led him deeper into Eloria, their surroundings shifting with each step. The landscape morphed, revealing shimmering rivers of light, trees made of crystal that sparkled in the fading light, and fields of flowers that radiated vibrant colors, pulsing with energy. As they walked, Josh felt a deeper sense of connection to this world. It was unlike anything he had ever known, and the more he embraced his emotions, the more alive he felt. He could sense the energy of the place resonating with his own, harmonizing in a way that made him feel whole. They arrived at a magnificent structure that towered over them, a grand palace made of translucent material that shimmered like liquid glass. Zayla turned to him, her expression filled with excitement. This is the Hall of Connections, a place where beings come to share their deepest desires and experiences. Josh's heart raced. Can we go inside? Of course, Zayla replied, taking his hand once more as they floated toward the entrance. The palace seemed to hum with energy, and as they stepped inside, he was enveloped in a warm glow. Inside the hall, the atmosphere was vibrant and alive, filled with the energies of countless beings sharing their experiences. The walls were adorned with images that shifted and changed, depicting moments of connection, love, joy, and even pain. It was a visual representation of the shared experiences of all who had passed through. Here, you can share your own story, Zayla said, guiding him to a central platform bathed in soft light. This is a space of vulnerability and authenticity. Share your desires, your fears, and you will see how they resonate with others. Josh hesitated, the weight of vulnerability pressing down on him. He had never been one to share his innermost feelings, always keeping them tucked away behind a facade of confidence. But this was different. Here, he felt a sense of safety, a community of beings ready to embrace him. Taking a deep breath, he stepped onto the platform. As he stood there, the light around him intensified, and he felt the energy of the hall respond to his presence. It was as if the very fabric of reality was listening, waiting for him to speak. I've always felt different, he began, his voice steady despite the flutter of nerves in his chest. Like I don't belong in my own world. I've struggled with loneliness and a yearning for connection. I want to feel alive, to explore the depths of my emotions, but I've always been afraid. As he spoke, the images on the wall shifted, morphing into scenes that mirrored his words. He saw himself in moments of joy with friends, laughter ringing out, but also moments of isolation, standing alone in the shadows. The beings around him watched, their colors swirling with empathy and understanding. I long for adventure and meaning, he continued, feeling the weight of his emotions lifting as he shared his truth. I want to connect with others on a deeper level, to embrace the beauty and complexity of life. The light around him pulsed in response, radiating warmth and acceptance. Josh felt a rush of energy surge through him, filling him with hope and possibility. The beings around him began to glow brighter, their colors dancing in celebration of his vulnerability. When he finished, silence enveloped the hall for a moment, the air thick with emotion. Then, one by one, the beings began to respond, sharing their own stories, of love, loss, triumph, and failure. Each tale resonated with Josh, weaving a tapestry of connection that transcended words. As he listened, he felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. Here, in this realm of emotion and energy, he was not alone. Others understood him, shared his fears and desires, and together they created a symphony of human experience. Zayla watched with a proud smile, her glowing presence radiating warmth and encouragement. When the sharing concluded, she stepped forward, her energy intertwining with his. See, Josh, she said softly. You are not just an observer in this world. You are a part of it, a vibrant thread in the fabric of existence. Your emotions are powerful, and through them, you can connect with others in ways that transcend the ordinary. Josh nodded, overwhelmed by the experience. Thank you, Zayla. I never knew it could feel like this. Embrace it, she urged, her eyes shining with wisdom. Your journey is just beginning, and the connections you forge here will shape your understanding of yourself and the universe. Together, they stepped back from the platform, and Josh felt a sense of completion wash over him. The Hall of Connections had opened his heart, allowing him to embrace his desires and fears fully. He knew he was forever changed by this experience, and as he looked into Zayla's glowing eyes, he felt a deeper bond forming between them. In this vibrant world, he had discovered not only the beauty of connection but also the potential within himself. The journey ahead was uncertain, but with Zayla by his side, he felt ready to explore the depths of his emotions, to confront his fears, and to embrace the adventure of life. "Where do we go from here?" Josh asked, his heart full of hope. Zayla smiled, her presence radiating encouragement. "Wherever your desires lead you, we will go together. The universe is vast, and there is so much more to discover." With her guidance, Josh knew he was ready to embrace the unknown. The adventure was just beginning, and he was prepared to dive into the depths of desire, to explore the connection that transcended the boundaries of his reality, and to find his place in the cosmos. Josh felt a surge of exhilaration as Zayla guided him through the vibrant landscape of Eloria. The colors swirled and pulsed around them, each hue resonating with the emotions and desires they had just shared in the Hall of Connections. Every step felt like a leap into a world of possibilities, and he was ready to explore every corner of this new reality. Zayla floated gracefully ahead, her form radiant against the backdrop of shimmering trees and crystalline structures. "We're headed to the Valley of Whispers," she explained, her voice melodic and inviting. "It's a place where desires take shape and become tangible. Here, you can see the manifestations of what beings truly want." The valley came into view, a breathtaking expanse filled with ethereal mists and floating orbs of light that glimmered like stars scattered across the ground. As they entered, Josh felt a tingling sensation in the air, as if the very essence of desire was alive around him. He could see figures in the distance, beings interacting with the luminous orbs, shaping them with their hands, their emotions swirling like a visible aura. "What are they doing?" Josh asked, captivated by the sight. "They're creating," Zayla replied, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Here, thoughts and feelings can become reality. But it's not without its risks." Josh raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Zayla's expression turned serious. "Desire is a powerful force, Josh. It can lead to incredible experiences, but it can also bring chaos if not handled carefully. Emotions can manifest in unexpected ways, and if fear or negativity seeps in, it can distort what is created. That's why it's crucial to remain grounded and mindful of your intentions." Josh nodded, absorbing her words. He could sense the truth in them. After all, he had felt the weight of his own emotions just moments ago in the Hall of Connections. As they walked further into the valley, he noticed more beings gathered around the orbs, some crafting intricate shapes, while others appeared frustrated, their creations flickering and vanishing into thin air. "What happens if someone's desires are too chaotic?" he asked, a hint of concern creeping into his voice. Zayla's gaze grew somber. "It can lead to disharmony. The valley is a reflection of one's true self, and if someone is not ready to confront their fears or insecurities, it can create unintended consequences. It's essential to approach this place with care." They reached a clearing, and Josh marveled at the sight before him. Floating orbs of light hovered in midair, pulsating softly. Each orb radiated a unique color, a reflection of the desires held within. Zayla gestured toward the nearest orb, its glow a warm, inviting gold. "Would you like to try?" she asked, a hint of encouragement in her voice. Josh took a deep breath, his heart racing. "What do I do?" "Focus on what you desire most," Zayla instructed. "Let your emotions guide you, but remember to keep your intentions clear. The energy you put into it will shape what you create." Josh stepped closer to the orb, feeling its warmth wash over him. He closed his eyes and concentrated, allowing his mind to wander to his deepest desires. He envisioned connection, adventure, and the sense of belonging that had always felt just out of reach. A vivid image began to form in his mind, a vibrant landscape filled with laughter, friends, and moments of pure joy. As he focused, he reached out toward the orb, his fingers brushing against its surface. Instantly, the orb reacted, expanding and shimmering as golden light enveloped him. For a moment, Josh felt weightless, as if he were being lifted into the air. The scene in his mind came to life around him, and he was transported to a place filled with laughter and warmth. But then, as quickly as the joy had come, a dark shadow flickered at the edges of his vision. Panic surged within him, and the vibrant scene began to distort. The laughter turned to cries, and the colors darkened into shades of gray. Josh's heart raced, and he pulled back, feeling a jolt of energy course through him as the vision shattered. "Josh!" Zayla called, her voice laced with urgency. "You must stay grounded. Your fear disrupted the energy." He gasped, trembling as he regained his footing. I didn't mean to. It happened." Zayla stepped closer, her expression softening. "It's okay. It's a natural reaction, especially in a place like this. But you must learn to confront those fears instead of letting them control you. The power of desire is immense, but so is the responsibility that comes with it." Josh nodded, still shaken. He had never realized how easily his emotions could turn from something beautiful to something chaotic. It was a lesson he would need to remember. "How do I learn to control it?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Zayla placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, her touch soothing. "It takes practice and self-awareness. You must be willing to explore the depths of your emotions without fear. I'll be here to guide you, but you have to trust yourself." As they stood there, Josh felt a renewed sense of determination. He didn't want to let fear control him any longer. He wanted to embrace his desires and confront the chaos within. "Okay," he said, his voice steadying. "I'm ready to try again." Zayla smiled, her expression filled with encouragement. "That's the spirit. Let's try together." They approached another orb, this one a deep shade of azure. Josh focused, letting his emotions rise to the surface. This time, he visualized not just his desires but also his fears, the loneliness, the doubts, the moments when he felt like he didn't belong. Instead of shying away from them, he embraced them, allowing the emotions to flow through him without judgment. With Zayla beside him, he reached out to the orb, feeling its energy pulsate against his fingertips. As he connected, the orb began to glow brighter, and the vision that emerged was different this time. He saw himself standing among friends, laughter echoing around him, but there were also shadows lurking at the edges. Moments of doubt and fear intertwined with the joy, creating a tapestry of experiences that felt genuine. "Good. You're integrating your fears into the vision," Zayla encouraged, her voice a guiding light. "Embrace the entirety of who you are, Josh. This is the essence of connection." The scene transformed into a swirling dance of colors, reflecting both the light and dark aspects of his experience. It was chaotic yet beautiful, a representation of the complexity of life itself. Josh felt a sense of release, a weight lifting off his shoulders as he allowed himself to fully engage with his emotions. And then, just as he began to feel the joy of the moment, a sharp chill ran through him. The shadows at the edges of his vision twisted and writhed, growing darker and more ominous. The laughter faded, replaced by the haunting echoes of his insecurities. "Zayla," he shouted, fear creeping into his voice. "What's happening?" "Stay with it, Josh," she urged, her eyes filled with intensity. "Don't let the fear take control. Acknowledge it, but don't be consumed by it." Josh clenched his fists, forcing himself to confront the darkness. He took a deep breath and focused on the joy, the warmth of friendship, the thrill of adventure. He reached deep within himself, drawing on the light he had discovered in the Hall of Connections. "Leave me alone," he yelled, willing the shadows to retreat. "I won't let you control me." With that declaration, the orb burst forth in a radiant explosion of light, dispersing the shadows and illuminating the valley with an incandescent glow. The darkness receded, replaced by a kaleidoscope of colors that danced around him, celebrating his victory. Zayla's expression was a mix of pride and relief. "You did it, Josh. You confronted your fears and transformed them into something beautiful." Breathless and exhilarated, Josh felt a sense of empowerment surge through him. "I didn't know I could do that," he said, a smile breaking across his face. "You can do so much more," Zayla replied, her eyes twinkling with encouragement. "But remember, this journey is not just about joy. It's about understanding the full spectrum of your emotions and learning to balance them." As they stepped away from the orb, Josh's heart swelled with gratitude. He had taken a significant step toward embracing his true self, and he felt ready to explore even further. But as they moved deeper into the Valley of Whispers, a nagging thought tugged at the back of his mind. Zayla, what if I can't handle this? What if I get lost in my own desires? He asked, the weight of his insecurities returning. Zayla turned to him, her expression serious. That's a valid concern, Josh. The journey of self-discovery is fraught with challenges. You must remember to stay grounded, to find balance between your desires and the realities of your life. It's a dance, not a sprint. He nodded, the truth of her words resonating deeply within him. I understand. As they continued through the valley, Josh noticed the landscape changing. The vibrant colors began to dim, and the atmosphere felt heavier, charged with a sense of unease. Shadows flickered at the edges of his vision, reminding him of the chaos he had just confronted. Zayla, what's happening? He asked, his heart racing. This is the part of the valley where unacknowledged fears can manifest, she explained, her tone grave. If we venture too far without being mindful, we may encounter the darker aspects of our desires. Josh felt a knot tighten in his stomach. I don't want to face that again. Then we must remain vigilant, Zayla said, her voice steady. Remember what you learned. Acknowledge the shadows, but don't allow them to consume you. They pressed forward, the air growing colder and more oppressive. Josh could feel the weight of fear pressing down on him, and the memories of his insecurities flooded back. Doubts began to creep in. What if he wasn't strong enough to navigate this world? What if he lost himself in the darkness? Suddenly, the landscape shifted, and they found themselves standing before a swirling vortex of shadow. It pulsed ominously, drawing in the light around it, creating a chilling contrast against the colors of the valley. Zayla, what is that? Josh asked, his voice trembling. That, she said, her expression resolute, is the manifestation of fear. It is a reflection of the unacknowledged darkness within. We must confront it, or it will consume us. Josh's heart raced as he stared into the vortex. He felt the pull of fear, the urge to retreat, but he knew he couldn't back down. What do we do? Together, we face it, Zayla replied, her voice firm. Focus on your light. Remember the joy you've discovered, the strength within you. We must confront this together. He took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of her presence beside him. They stepped closer to the vortex, and the shadows within began to swirl violently, threatening to envelop them. Josh could feel the fear clawing at his mind, whispering doubts that threatened to drown him. You are not alone. Zayla shouted, her voice cutting through the darkness. We are strong together. With renewed determination, Josh focused on the warmth of their connection. He visualized the vibrant colors of the valley, the joy he had felt in the Hall of Connections, and the laughter of friends. The more he concentrated, the brighter the light within him grew. Leave us alone, he shouted, his voice echoing through the air. You don't control me. As if responding to his defiance, the vortex writhed and howled, the shadows growing darker and more chaotic. But Josh didn't falter. He reached for Zayla's hand, their energies intertwining, creating a beacon of light that pushed back against the darkness. Together, they stood against the vortex, channeling their combined strength into a radiant pulse of energy. The shadows writhed and screamed, but Josh felt a surge of power flowing through him. The vortex began to shrink, its darkness dissipating in the face of their light. Keep going, Josh. Zayla urged, her voice filled with unwavering support. You have the strength to overcome this. With each pulse of energy, the vortex diminished, until finally, with a blinding flash of light, it collapsed in on itself, vanishing into thin air. The valley erupted in color, the vibrant hues swirling around them as if celebrating their victory. Breathless and exhilarated, Josh turned to Zayla, a mix of disbelief and gratitude flooding through him. We did it. Yes, we did, she replied, her eyes shining with pride. But remember, this is just the beginning. You must always be aware of the balance between light and dark within you. The journey of self-discovery is ongoing. As they stood together in the aftermath, surrounded by the swirling colors of the valley, Josh felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He had faced his fears, confronted the chaos within, and emerged stronger than ever. With Zayla by his side, he knew he could navigate the complexities of this new world, in his own heart. "I'm ready for whatever comes next," he said, determination filling his voice. Zayla smiled, her presence radiating warmth and encouragement. "Then let us continue this journey together. The universe is vast, and there is so much more for you to discover." Hand in hand, they stepped forward into the vibrant landscape of Eloria, ready to embrace the unknown and explore the depths of desire, connection, and the boundless possibilities that lay ahead. In that moment, Josh knew he was not just a visitor in this extraordinary world, he was an integral part of it, and his journey had only just begun.